From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, President Buhari meets APC governors, seeks reciprocity in choosing successor. NNPP screens its lone presidential aspirant, Rabiu Kwankwaso. Bandits kill 30 vigilantes in Zamfara. And on the foreign scene, Israel signs first Arab free trade agreement with UAE. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Now the news in detail. President Muhammadu Buhari holds meeting with the 22 governors of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, ahead of the much-anticipated presidential primary election, now scheduled to hold from Monday 6th to Wednesday 8th of June 2022. In attendance at the meeting with governors operating under the aegis of the Progressive Governors Forum is the national chairman of the party, Senator Abdullahi Adamu. Only the governor of Kaduna State is being represented by his deputy at the meeting being held at the council chambers of the State House, Abuja. Daily Trust learned that the meeting was convened to discuss forthcoming presidential primaries and the need to have a united position. The APC postponed a special convention for presidential primary from Sunday 29th to Monday 30th of May 2022 to Monday 6th to Wednesday 8th of June 2022 after the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC extended the deadline for submission of the list of candidates by political parties. The president later left for Madrid, Spain for a two-day state visit to the European nation. Aspirants seeking to fly the APC presidential flag in the 2023 election Tuesday continue to throng Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja, to face the party's screening panel. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports that among those that face the screening panel so far is Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Senate President Ahmed Lawan, among several others. The report.
Postponed for a consecutive 4 times in a row, the APC presidential screening exercise is now taking shape. 2 days of robust engagement between presidential hopefuls and the screening panel. An exercise behind closed doors and away from coverage by the media, just as the aspirants also remain mute. Transcorp Hilton, venue for the APC presidential screening, is witnessing, a beehive of activities at the moment, courtesy of this exercise. So far, a number of presidential aspirants, about 10 of them, have been cleared by the screening panel, including the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, the leader of the party, talking about Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the immediate past Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi. Other presidential aspirants are on the queue as we speak. This is ahead of the party's national convention scheduled to hold on the 26th of June 2022. As the party is set for a much-awaited special convention to choose a flag bearer, intrigues, suspense, and a sense of uncertainty defines the horizon. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the lone presidential aspirant of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Rabiu Kwankwaso, says he's not jittery about the emergence of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as the flag bearer of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Kwankwaso made the outburst shortly after facing his party's presidential screening panel, saying his exit from the PDP and APC was as a result of monetization of internal democracy. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports.
As he awaits the ratification of his clearance by the party at his forthcoming national convention scheduled for the 8th of June, Kwankwaso says he is optimistic that Nigerians will have a choice between the status quo in the country or go for a genuine change that will add value to their lives.
I can assure you that at the end of the day, whoever went and purchased a form for 100 million, even when the money is money being stolen, but to the owners is something that belongs to them because they are yet to be invited by those authorities who should ask them questions. And we have seen also what happened in the last convention where money was flying.
Kwankwaso clears the air on recent allegation that he negotiated a deal to deliver delegates to one of the PDP presidential aspirants during the party's presidential convention conducted on Saturday.
Some people were alleging that I collected money for my delegates from Kano. I am not a member of PDP. And the last thing any politician of my standing should do is to go and collect money for somebody. But I'm so happy with the statement because they didn't say that I was given money. The money was not for Rabiu Kwankwaso. They say I collected for delegates. Now I'm sure the delegates must have heard if I collected their money, they should come and take it.
He also speaks on the choice of his running mate, security challenge facing the country, and his disposition to governance.
Nigerians are sick and tired of what is happening. Every day you find lives of innocent Nigerians are being destroyed, either on the roads or in the market or in the houses, everywhere. And it's like the government and all those who should protect those lives are doing close to nothing.
A civil engineer by profession, Kwankwaso was two-time governor of Kano State, former deputy speaker in the Second Republic, a one-time minister of defense and a diplomat. He has gone through Nigeria's major political parties, SDP, PDP, APC, and now NNPP. Shapiro Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And still talking politics, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike says some People's Democratic Party PDP governors ganged up with some vested interest groups to derail the quest of southern Nigeria to produce the next president. The Rivers State Governor disclosed this at a grand reception organized by Rivers people on Monday in Port Harcourt to welcome him back from Abuja after the PDP presidential primary. The report.
People would not take the control. The same people who got, I've never seen anything like that, man. A governor. And tomorrow is, the South is a minority. You are the one making yourself to be in a minority. And you are complaining of minority. Shame. Instead of me to be that kind of governor, let me not be elected as a governor. Let me not be elected as a governor. You are holding something in trust for your people. And you claim that this is what your people want. Then when it has come to that point to actualize it, you sell out.
The National Human Rights Commission, in collaboration with Civil Society Forum, has inaugurated a joint investigative committee on the allegations of loss of 3 lives during the APC governorship primaries in Kano. At a joint press conference on the current political situation in Kano, the group says they have received a number of complaints from members of the public that 3 persons were allegedly killed during the primaries. The groups are calling on Kano citizens to come forward with any credible information that will help the committee in carrying out the assignment. The committee is expected to submit its report within 2 weeks.
Of complaints from the members of the public that 3 persons were brutally murdered at the APC governorship primaries, which took place last week in the state. We have since the receipt of the complaint become uneasy, as the revelations were not only scary but as well unfortunate. Consequently, the leadership of the National Human Rights Commission Kano office as well as the Kano Civil Society Forum, having appreciated the magnitude of the allegation, have both agreed to establish a joint public hearing committee to provide an avenue for the members of the general public to submit their written or oral memorandum regarding the alleged killings of the 30 persons at the APC governorship primaries.
I would like also to call on our teaming youth, particularly those that are being used by the political class to perpetrate in this dastardly act, to avoid such, and of course avoid use of drugs, which is the most influencer of this dastardly act. Our teaming youth should understand that this political class their immediate families are now protected by them in whatever aspect of protection, and the teaming youth are being used by this class to actualize their unjustified goals.
Meanwhile, the extension of the deadline for political parties to conduct their primary election by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to 9th of June has continued to generate reactions from political parties and civil society organizations. Some political parties and civil society groups in Kaduna, who said the shift will give them room to prepare more, however, fault INEC on the decision. The report.
According to INEC, the shift followed an extension request by political parties to review the time frame within which to conduct their primaries. Despite INEC's justification for the shift, the announcement has continued to generate mixed reactions from political actors and analysts. In Kaduna, some political parties welcomed the shift as it will give them room to cross their T's and dot their I's.
The enlargement of time or the extension of time by the Independent National Electoral Commission is a welcome issue by us, considering the fact that it has given us the advantage to regularize what we have so far collected from the primary elections we have conducted.
This request was made by all the 18 political parties under the umbrella of Inter-Party Advisory Council, that some of the parties are not going to be able to conduct all their primaries within that time limit. And even the INEC did not say you should do fresh primaries. No, they only say where such primaries have not been conducted already, they have now extended 6 days for them to be able to conduct that primary so that they can also fill in their candidates.
Despite commending INEC for the deadline shift, the New Nigeria People's Party says the decision favors the ruling APC the most.
This enlargement of time has to do with complaint mostly by the APC element, who feel if there will be no such an extension, then definitely it will not have time, the party, that's the APC, will not have time to resolve the crisis arising from those congresses they have conducted. At least from that time to when the door will be shut out for them, I don't think they will be able to sort all the problems arising from such congresses. So whether it is to their advantage or to any other person's advantage, we in the NNPP have taken it in good faith.
If you look at it, the APC and the PDP, they have almost concluded all their activities. It is the parties, the opposition parties, the smaller ones, that are almost been taken unawares. If not for this extension that the INEC graciously granted.
For the civil society, the electoral law is designed to accommodate extension, but faults the timing.
Ordinarily, one would not have problem with extension of any nature, because even the electoral law, the way it was designed, is designed in such a way that it can accommodate this kind of extension where necessary. But what is fundamentally wrong with the extension is the manner in which INEC did it. If you are going to give an extension of this nature, you should have taken into account so many factors that will not create problem to the political party.
Though the shift will help the smaller opposition parties form alliances ahead of the general election, it will give the ruling APC comparative advantage over opposition.
Analysis coming from a pundit and even political observer that it was deliberately done so that whoever emerged as the flag bearer of the PDP, it will now give APC the opportunity to actually look at this contentious issue of zoning, whether to go with it or to jettison it in order to have a very good comparative advantage over the PDP. But as for the other opposition political parties like this new NPP, the PRP who are also, and Labour who are now trying to create a third force. So I think it has given them the opportunity to negotiate, to form alliance, to form alignment. in order for them to come up with a consensus candidate among them that they are that will compete with these other two parties, the APC and the PDP.
Earlier, the National Commissioner and Chairman Voter Education of INEC, Festus Okoye, said the commission had readily granted the request since INEC had not scheduled any specific activity between 3rd and 9th of June. Lami Sadiq for Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Now, there is an element of surprise in the emergence of candidates after months of political consultations and calculations from different political aspirants jostling for different positions to emerge as flag bearers for their respective parties in Katsina State. The two leading political parties, the All Progressive Congress and the People's Democratic Party in the state, conducted their primary elections in what was described as the most free and fair primary election since the return of democracy. Trust TV's Jamil Mabai followed the development and files in this report.
The long-awaited period has ended as victors emerged, and the question remained: would aspirants who couldn't clinch the ticket support their party flag bearers? Mouths are waging on the role of delegates in primary election and on the choices made by the delegates. Political godfatherism and imposition of candidates make politics in Katsina less competitive in the past, but this time the game is different, with big names losing party primaries.
But actually, those smaller numbers of the people that were saddled with the responsibility to elect officials that will flag the party flags in the upcoming general election. Actually, the smaller number affected the outcome of the result of the election, because we all know that it is easier to manipulate smaller numbers than larger numbers.
Two governorship candidates that emerged from the two leading political parties of All Progressive Congress and the People's Democratic Party took everyone by surprise, given the popularity of other candidates tipped to clinch the ticket. Dr. Umar Ratna defeated 8 other aspirants, including the former Secretary to the State Government, Mustafa Inwa, and the Katsina State Deputy Governor, QS Maneri Yakubu, with a total of 506 votes. While Yakubu Ladu Damarke of PDP won the election with 700 votes, defeating Salisu Majigiri, the former state PDP party chairman. In APC, all the incumbent senators from the 3 geopolitical zones failed to secure their tickets. On the other hand, Mustafa Muhammad Inwa, a leading contender for the APC gubernatorial ticket, congratulated Dukko Ratna and urged his supporters to support the party flag bearer. Whatever the outcome of the election, experts say the new system of choosing party delegates and the new electoral law played a critical role in producing aspirants via a free and fair process. Jamil Mabai, Trust TV News, Katsina.
Meanwhile, son of late Governor of Kwara State, Hakeem Lawal, has emerged the state governorship candidate under the Social Democratic Party. He defeated 2 other aspirants to emerge the winner of the primary election. He had earlier emerged as the candidate of the party, but the primary election was cancelled due to a petition written against his victory. In the second primary election, Mr. Lawal polled 606 votes to defeat a former chairman of the Federal Character Commission, Professor Shuaib Abdul Rahim, who polled 177 votes, and Mr. Bolaji Khalil, who had no vote. None of the aspirants was present at the primary election. Mr. Lawal was one of the APC governorship aspirants in Kwara State in 2019. The chairman of the Kwara SDP gubernatorial primary election, Mr. Olatunji Agbaminoja, announced the results of the election.
Hakeem Oladimeji Lawal scored 606. Professor X. Oba Abdulkarim 177. By the power confirmed to me, hereby declared Akeem Oladimeji Lawan as the winner of these primaries.
And the Abuja Division of the Federal High Court has ordered former Imo State Governor and presidential aspirant of the All Progressives Congress APC, Rochas Okorocha, to remain in EFCC custody until he perfects the conditions attached to his bail. Justice Inyang Eko made the order after admitting the ex-governor to bail in the sum of 500 million naira and one shorty in like sum. Equally admitted to bail by Justice Inyang Eko is his co-accused Anyim Nyerere, who was cited in a 17-count money laundering charge. The report.
The court ordered that Okorocha's shorty must have a property in Abuja not below 500 million naira and the original title documents of the property be deposited with the court registrar. In addition, the court ordered that Senator Okorocha's travel documents be deposited with the court registrar and barred him from overseas travel without the permission of the court.
We'll fulfill it. They are not more fair conditions. We'll fulfill it. And my client is a notable serving senator. So the idea of running away is ruled out. He will fulfill the condition. He has never run away. Only that, like I said yesterday, he was never properly served. Before you can say he didn't come, you must have served, but he wasn't served. He has come, and you will see that he will come to take his trial. And the bail conditions are normal bail conditions, will meet them.
In the case of Nyerere, the second defendant, the court ordered that he should continue on the administrative bail granted him by EFCC for exhibiting good conduct while on bail.
Exactly, the judge in his infinite wisdom has granted the second defendant bail on the administrative conditions given by the EFCC. If you look at it, you see that the court was of the view that the second defendant has never defaulted in the administrative bail granted to him, and throughout the proceedings of this case, he has never absented himself. Our client is a very responsible citizen of the federal Nigeria, and the court has affirmed that. So we believe that before the end of today, it's going to perfect that by EFCC transferring their file to the court, and will be allowed to go.
According to the presiding judge, Justice Inyang Eko, though he held that bail is to the discretion of the court, he said that due to the conduct of the first defendant, which is Rochas Okorocha, he would not be granted a customary bail. And this acts with self-recognizance. Rochas Okorocha was a governor in Nigeria, and he's a serving senator. So right now, the court has ordered that he be remanded in EFCC custody until he's able to meet up his bail conditions to the later. The trial has been adjourned to the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th of November 2022. Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And now to matters of security, where suspected armed bandits on Monday killed more than 30 members of a local vigilante group otherwise known as Ensake. The killing followed a gunfight near Gidandeng Inna community in Auki district of Bungudu local government area of Zamfara state. Residents said the armed men had earlier invaded Gidang Inna village and some other neighboring communities and rustled herds of cattle. They were said to have shot dead some residents in some communities and made away with the rustled cows. A resident of the area, Umar Kadoa, said the remains of the slain vigilantes, who were from more than 10 communities, were later retrieved for burial at their respective villages. The spokesman of the State Police Command, SP Muhammad Shehu, could not be reached for comments. Meanwhile, police operatives in Zamfara state have arrested a suspect for culpable homicide and being in possession of a severed human hand. Zamfara Police Command spokesman Muhammad Shehu, in a statement, said the suspect was arrested by the joint police and military operatives on anti-banditry operation along Dauran-Zurmi axis. The statement further said preliminary investigation revealed that the suspect is among members of the outlawed group Ensake, who have been terrorizing members of Dauran community through jungle justice, leading to reprisal attacks by terrorists against the innocent members of the public. And as part of relentless efforts of the Nigerian Navy in fighting maritime illegalities, the Nigerian Navy has flagged off a multinational maritime exercise, codenamed Exercise Edi Diana, aimed at tackling maritime security threats within the Gulf of Guinea. The exercise is in collaboration with West and Central African countries, including Togo, Cameroon, Ghana, the European Union, where the United States Coast Guards will tackle anti-piracy, illegal unregulated fishing, as well as other maritime security threats. The report.
Flagging off Exercise Edi Diana, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, at the Federal Ocean Terminal on a River State, urged the Nigerian Navy to strengthen its collaboration with other countries' navies to fight maritime insecurity in Gulf of Guinea and Africa in general. Irabo said it is by building forces together and collaboration that the country will be able to access the benefits inherent from ocean, not only for Nigeria, but equally for the Committee of Nations.
The whole essence is to rid our maritime domain, especially the Gulf of Guinea, of every maritime security threat. So this exercise is intended to galvanize the capacities and the resources of the various navies that I've just mentioned, so that together we can achieve the objective of security within our commons. So this is why we're here, and the exercise is going to be for the next couple of days.
The Chief of Defense Staff also hinted the federal government's commitment to increase Navy platforms to effectively secure the nation's territorial waters.
Building capacities, I'm sure you know that currently we're faced with a myriad of security challenges on land and of course in the maritime environment. And so it requires a constant review of the capacities of the armed forces to be able to do this, so that the training and equipment will be enhanced. So what I referred to was the effort of government to ensure that we increase the capacities of the Navy by way of additional platforms, talking about seagoing vessels. I'm sure you know of the ones that we've gotten, and there are others that are also expected. Then across the range of training, quite a lot has happened with the Navy. I'm sure that what you're seeing on board here attests the fact that quite a lot has happened with respect to training. So this is precisely what I'm talking about, and I'm hopeful that as we remain on this trajectory, and in the few years to come, the armed forces that we have, not only will we be proud of them, they will be able to take out every threat that that faces us before they even occur.
Earlier in his address, the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, said the exercise Edi Diana presents ample opportunities for the Nigerian Navy to work together with other national and regional navies in the spirit of the Yaoundé Accord. The exercise is one of the events lined up to celebrate the 66th anniversary of the Nigerian Navy.
You're watching Trust TV News Hour. Still to come on the news, Katsina lepers cry out. This and more after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Hour. Now another look at our top stories. President Buhari meets APC governors, seeks reciprocity in choosing successor. And NMPP screens its lone presidential aspirant, Rabiu Kwankwaso. And moving on to other news now, May 31st every year is World No Tobacco Day, a day set aside by the United Nations to advocate against harmful effects of tobacco. According to the World Health Organization, tobacco kills millions of people annually, in addition to destroying the environment. Ibrahim Ismail examines the significance of the day and files in this report from Gombe.
World No Tobacco Day was set by the World Health Organization (WHO) member state in 1987 and is commemorated each year on 13th May. The theme for 2022 is Tobacco is Killing Us and Our Planet. The aim of the day is to raise awareness of the harmful effect of tobacco use and secondhand smoke exposure. According to a medical expert, smoking exposes the human body to numerous diseases.
Smoking causes chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or chronic obstructive airway disease, whereby patient presents with severe difficulty in breathing, with cough and inability to even sleep. It worsens the asthma, and even those that don't have asthma, smoking increase their risks of having asthma. It also causes cancer of the lungs. Among the cancers that smoking causes, it causes cancer of the lungs, cancer of the esophagus, cancer of the kidney, cancer of the liver. When you take the circulatory system, it causes a thickening of blood, what we call blood clot. So it can cause heart disease, like ischemic heart disease. You see, the sudden death of patient from blood clot that blocks the vessels that supply the heart. It causes also stroke. It causes diabetes, because the smokers, they have weak immune system. It causes infection.
Dr. Balla also warned that passive smokers risk having the same diseases as active smokers, adding that the toxic waste from smoking contaminates the environment and has negative impact on both plants and animals. Although some smokers claim ignorance of the effect of the act on the human body, others who smoke do so despite knowing the health-related consequences.
When I am upset, I used to smoke 2 to 3 pieces of cigarette to calm myself before I remember some of my problems. I was white in complexion, while the cigarette tempered with my skin color, although I used some medication to reduce the effect.
The World Health Organization (WHO) says tobacco kills over 8 million people every year and destroys the environment. A research associate from the Center for the Study of the Economics of Africa, Austin Irauya, told Trust TV that smoking kills 29,000 Nigerians every year. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Now, Babbarga Hospital in the suburbs of the ancient city of Katsina was established to treat and take care of leprosy and tuberculosis patients over 50 years ago. As an international referral center for leprosy and tuberculosis, as well as other infectious diseases, the hospital is first of its kind in northern Nigeria. However, since the conversion of the hospital to National Obstetrics Fistula Center in 2013, leprosy and tuberculosis patients have been finding it very difficult to get admission and other follow-up cases in the hospital. Abdullahi Yamadi takes a look at the plight of the patients and the current position of the hospital.
For the past 40 to 50 years, leprosy and tuberculosis patients come to Babbarga Hospital for medication and treatment. The patients, when admitted at the hospital, were later discharged after recuperating to settle at Ereshanye village, which is a stone throw from Babbarga, for regular follow-ups. This continued over time up to 2013, when the hospital was transformed and converted to its present status. However, the transformation did not go down well with the leprosy and tuberculosis patients, who claimed the hospital was established to reduce their sufferings several years ago. As you can see, I am sick. I have a general body pain. Look at my eyes and my skin. All is not well. As it is now, I can't access medical care because of distance issue. Since the Babarga hospital ejected us from its services, we are hopeless and helpless. They also blamed authorities for throwing them out of the system after the transformation and conversion of the hospital. Though majority of patients with old and new leprosy cases were not around during this visit to Ershanya village, people such as Sarkim Kutari, his secretary Malam Umar, decry stigmatization and lack of concern to their plight as some of their constraints. All my patients can no longer be admitted to Babarga Hospital since 2013, and we are suffering since then. It's pathetic. As the secretary to Sarkim Kutari, I always take our patients to Kofar Kaura Center, but they don't admit new cases. They only treat those on follow-ups. We have to take our patients to Maradi in Niger Republic. These people say they are dying in silence as a result of abject poverty and the proximity between the village and the Kofar Kaura Center, where they are being referred to for medication. Take a look at my body. Leprosy has finished me. There is no support or help from anywhere. We have been in this condition for a long time now. The medical director of the hospital said that the Katsina State government is providing enough drugs and other medical consumables to treat the patients. He reminds the state government for its earlier pledge to build an infectious disease hospital in Katsina.
For over 40 years, this hospital has been treating fistula patients, TB and leprosy patients. But this center was taken over by the federal government on the 19th of December 2013, precisely to become a federal government institution that treats only fistula patients.
According to her, this could at least reduce the sufferings of the leprosy and tuberculosis patients, besides removing the economic barrier and risk of traveling this long distance to Maradi in Niger Republic for medication. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Now, University of Maiduguri students have decried the continuous yet inconclusive negotiations between the government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. The students are unhappy that despite prolonged negotiations, they have been shut out of academic activities for the past 4 months. Trust TV's Beatrice Kuritsi in this report speaks with some undergraduates in Maiduguri on how they are facing life outside campus. The report.
Before the 4-month strike, University of Maiduguri was full of life as students and staff went about their normal academic routines. Today, it has become deserted as lecture halls are filled with dust and littered papers. Some classes under lock and key with few offices open. But this is not the story for Borno State University, as it recently matriculated over 2,000 students.
Faculty of Agriculture. It is also pertinent to note that character constitutes one of the major considerations of awarding degrees.
It is the wish of Abubakar Ghana, a 100-level student who comes to his department every day to study, that the strike will be called off soon. He, amongst other things, laments that he will not graduate at the expected time if the federal government and ASU fail to come to an agreement.
Somebody that's supposed to graduate within 4 years or 5 years can end up graduating within like 8 years or 9 years. But when they did not call it back, well, I think I'm changing the institute. I'll go for maybe private or state university. in Borno State like those.
Now I am just doing a handwork, which I'm a carpenter. So I'm just managing with the carpentry work. But even now I have a work to do in southern Nigeria. But due to this, I don't want to go far and the strike to call back. So that is why I'm still sitting here managing for the ASU to resume, and then before I move to my second plan. Because my first plan is to graduate, and all the other activities is outside, is when I have my first plan.
The issues that have kept students home border on revitalization funds for universities, renegotiation of 2009 agreement, and end allowances for lecturers, among others.
You can imagine a university that has a capacity of up to 70,000 students, and now you don't have that number. You can imagine the economic activities that we put on hold. You find out that students that are coming up from secondary school that are supposed to now come into the university are as well delayed. And at times you have like 2 sets of students that are supposed to come into the university held in one place.
At the moment, the leadership of the country is focused on next year's election, with politicians promising solutions to Nigeria's educational problems. Some are optimistic that the federal government will bow to ASU's demands just to score political points ahead of the general elections.
And an unidentified policeman on Tuesday shot the Osun State correspondent of the Nation newspaper, Toba Adedeji, in Osogbo. Adedeji was rushed to Osun State University Teaching Hospital, where he is receiving treatment. He is said to be in stable condition. The reporter was covering a protest against police brutality by some youth who were also mourning the death of one Abiola Afolabi, who was allegedly killed by police officers last month. Some policemen who came to the area to disperse the youth started shooting sporadically. An eyewitness, Henry Olamileko, said the policeman also shot a 5-year-old school pupil. The chairman of the Correspondent Chapel of the Nigeria Union of Journalists in the state, Shino Abubakar, who was at the scene during the shooting, condemned the action of the policeman. The state governor, Adeboyega Oyetola, in a statement by his chief press secretary, Ismail Omipido, also condemned the shooting.
As a journalist, the guy is here to, maybe to get the reports, and then the other guys were school children. They are coming from school. So I think those are the 3 guys that were shot. It is Nigeria policemen that shot at us at Oloya Junction today.
Some guys were coming from Ilesha, where they went to bury one Afolabi allegedly killed by the police. On sighting them under the flyover bridge, we left the office to go and see what was happening. And on getting there, we discovered that they said they wanted to protest. Well, we could have even left the scene, but the elder brother of the deceased was supposed to come and address us. They were there. Some of them were actually unruly, while the others were actually doing their thing without disturbing any other person. About 10 minutes later, policemen suddenly alighted from a Kurokwe and started shooting sporadically into the air. On shooting, everyone, including us, the journalists and the guys, ran for their life. Unfortunately, one of them directed his gun towards the runners and fired the shots. In fact, I had to hold back a corps member, Kemi by name, that was trying to go into that same line. So I had to draw back. Don't go, the guy is shooting at us. So the guy shot, and we kept running, and we had to take solace in a shop. Suddenly I saw Toba limping on one leg. What happened? They say he was caught. We rushed him down here to the hospital. And before we got to the hospital, I confronted one of the policemen that you guys fired a live bullet. He couldn't respond, and he just turned away from us and went back to the under the flyover. Now I also discovered that a girl was rushed on a bike towards Ashubiaro, and we had to start saying that the bike man should turn around, but he didn't hear. He's running to probably save her. Now we are at Lautech Teaching Hospital. Luckily, the doctors quickly attended to him. The government officials were here. He's currently on the bed, stable. However, we demand that the whereabouts of that girl should be made for us to know, because that girl was said to have been sent back to Lautech and referred back to Lautech from Ashubiaro. We were here since we didn't see the girl. So the police is yet to make a comment. They have not said anything about the incident yet, but they should make where that girl is. They should make it available. We should know. We should know about the whereabouts of that girl.
And a non-governmental organization, Global Environmental and Climate Conservation Initiative, has tasked journalists in Bauchi State on the need for effective reportage of climate change and its effect on the environment, survival of human beings and animals. This was part of a one-day capacity training on media reporting on social ecological resilience held at the NUJ Press Center, Bauchi. Trust TV's Adam Imam reports.
The training on capacity building was organized by Global Environmental and Climate Conservation Initiatives in collaboration with African Climate Reporters and the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Bauchi. Speaking at the training, the Director of African Climate Reporters, Nuruddin Bello, stated that due to the devastating impact of climate change on the lives of the people, it was time for journalists to beam their reportorial searchlight on the sector.
That is why we want to drill them into their capacity, the respect of how they could be involved, and how they could come on the board to have something which is meaningful on our environment. Let them talk much about the environment, more than sometimes in politics. As we know that now, yes, exactly, the issue of politics is here, but let them come the issue on the environment.
The General Manager, State Tourism Board, Muhammad Nasir, enjoined journalists to be intentional about science reporting for the sustenance and safety of the environment.
We don't have enough yield. Why? Because of the environmental factors. Apart from that, see what happens, particularly in respect of erosion, in respect of flooding and what have you. All this is affected based on our attitude. We already destroyed all our forests for our own economic consumption, while we don't want to consider to bless our trees and what have you.
While resource person at the event challenged journalists to report more safety and health issues, participants pledged to focus more on science reporting with particular interest in the area of environment.
Because through environment we realize that even animals, some species of animal can lose their lives, and through environment then we realize that even the healthy of human being is related to environmental issues.
I'm sure it will make positive impacts on the society generally, because according to them, one of the resource persons says, if we will put all hands on deck to be reporting consistently and objectively on the climate change, definitely the phenomenon of climate change will reduce to 45% in the next 30 years.
Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
And still on the environment, the federal government has set a target to rehabilitate about 22,000 square kilometers of degraded land and improve the livelihood of more than 20 million Nigerians by 2030. Minister of Environment Muhammad Abdullahi said this on Monday in Abuja at a capacity training workshop on opportunity mapping for improved decision-making and monitoring of Great Green Wall projects. Represented by Director of Planning, Research and Statistics of the Ministry, Stanley Jonah, he said the program focuses on 11 states that are most affected by desertification. In his remark, the Director General of the agency, Yusuf Maina Bukar, represented by Acting Director, Planning Policy Coordinator, Habiba Ibrahim, said the agency has restored degraded lands by establishing 389.46 kilometers of shelter belt.
Engage baseline studies and environmental impact assessment, community mobilization, sensitization and awareness campaign, afforestation and land management, promotion of alternative livelihoods, rural infrastructure and employment generation. The ongoing program includes ecological restoration and rehabilitation to enhance the livelihoods of the affected communities and strengthen their resilience to climate change. Promotion of climate-smart agricultural practices to enhance food security and climate change adaptation. Improvement of critical rural infrastructure for enhanced socio-economic development, and promotion of alternative and efficient sources of rural energy to reduce deforestation and combat climate change.
I'm delighted to be here with you for the launch of the training program of the agency's staff on opportunity mapping for improved decision-making and monitoring of GGW's activities. The Great Green Wall GGW program is a Pan-African initiative adopted by the African Union in 2007 as a strategy to address land degradation and desertification in the Sahel regions of Africa.
To identify potential areas for ecosystem conservation and/or restoration in order to reduce exposure for the highest number of people, and to scale up what we call ecosystem-based disaster risk reduction investments and action globally.
FAO contribution to expanding African green wall, biophysical data collection and management. This is an initiative of the FAO to collect data, both the field data and also the GIS and remote sensing data collection and data analysis and management. The publication of all the data we have collected so far will be published in mid-June.
The National Orientation Agency is partnering the Federal Inland Revenue Service through a national sensitization and advocacy campaign to increase tax awareness and drive compliance. The campaign is, among other things, to increase the nation's revenue to enable government meet her financial obligation. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu tells us more.
The capacity building session is for NOA state directors in the 36 states and FCT, program heads, departmental directors and their deputies, as well as officials of the Federal Inland Revenue Service in each of the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Part of the campaign is to reinforce compliance to civic responsibility on the part of citizens who are within the tax payment bracket and are earning a living through employment and other economic activities. Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Garba Abari, says the two organizations will carry out motorized campaigns around commercial areas to engage business enterprises and also use social media to sensitize Nigerians on the need to pay tax.
It's so important and critical, especially for we in the National Orientation Agency, because what I have read here are all technical issues that need to be broken down to the most basic, so that people are aware of the extent tax laws and what is expected of them.
Officials of the FIRS cleared the air on issues around utilization of tax funds and multiple taxation, which is one of the reasons taxes are evaded.
Administer, collect, and then remit it and account for it to the government. What the government does with the tax revenue is the business of the executive arm of the government and also the legislature that approves the national budget or the state budget. So when there is a budget annually, the executive prepares it and then it takes it to either the National Assembly or the State Assembly.
For those who are small business, the encouraging the SME government have said, if you are a business, you are earning 25 million naira and below, you are not expected to file VAT returns. You are not expected to also pay VAT. And that's a good initiative by government to ensure encourage the local people for their business to thrive.
Tax payment is said to be an important component of the political economy of any nation. Hence, the need for a reorientation of the citizens on these vital aspects, which contributes to national development. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And now a look at the foreign scene, where Nepali rescuers have recovered all 22 bodies of people from a plane crash in the Himalayas, authorities said on Tuesday as they began identifying the victims. Air traffic control lost contact with the Twin Otter plane shortly after it took off from Pokhara in western Nepal on Sunday morning and headed for Jomsom, a popular trekking destination. The wreckage was found a day later strewn across the mountainside at 14,500 feet. 10 of the bodies were brought by helicopter to the capital Kathmandu on Monday, and the remaining 12 still at the hard-to-reach crash site, with poor weather hampering the operation. About 60 people were involved in the search mission, including the army, police, mountain guides and locals, most of whom trekked uphill for miles to get there. The cause of the crash has yet to be confirmed, but Pokhara Airport spokesman Dev Raj Subedi said on Monday that the aircraft operated by Nepali carrier Tara Air did not catch fire in the air. And now we'll join Adeni Ajishafe for sports news.
Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN, has rolled out plans for participation in international competitions and has directed all foreign-based athletes to plan their programs accordingly. AFN urged athletes to harmonize their itineraries to accommodate stipulated dates of championship. AFN competitions lined up for the remaining chapter of the year includes African Senior Athletics Championship, built for Mauritius in June, and the National Trials Championship. Others are World Athletics Championship, Oregon, USA in July 2022, Birmingham Commonwealth Games in July, and World Under-20 Athletics Championship in Cali, Colombia, built for August 2022. And in football, Confederation of African Football, CAF, have listed 4 Senegalese match officials to officiate the final round of qualification for FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup return leg tie between Nigeria and Ethiopia, built for MK Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, on Saturday, 4th June 2022. Mame Kumba Faye has been appointed as the center referee for the crucial match, to be assisted by compatriots Adia Issa Sise, 4th assistant, Fatou Bento Sene as 2nd assistant, and Fatou Tione as 4th assistant. CAF appointed Aisha Nalule of Uganda as match commissioner, Emanuela Adlago from Ghana as referee assessor, while Nigeria's Dr. Salami Onimisi as COVID-19 officer. Nigeria Under-17 women's football team Flamingos won the first leg 1-0 in Addis Ababa. That's sport news. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And that wraps up Trust TV News Hour for tonight. For more news, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.